Alright, so Ceizari asked me this question. Do I really think that the UFC will get as big as Dana White thinks it will, or as big as a legitimate sport? And it's a tough question. I've been really thinking about it for a long time. Or has it peaked in, its popularity right now, and it's all downhill from here? And it's just, it really matters the steps that UFC, which I think is the leading promotion, and I think really should be the one that takes the ball in this, takes from here on out to make it into a bigger sport. Like, in Major League Sports, you got teams, and some teams, they'll never win championships. Or they will, but it'll be a long time off. You got stuff like the Cubs, the Cubs, have suffered for a very long time. But it doesn't mean they don't draw money. They still make good money. And that's the thing. You got to have people in the UFC, if that's going to be your home base for everything, that are entertaining, are good fighters, and people want to watch. I always was really upset for him when they let go of Nick Diaz. He's like the Cubs. He may never win a championship, but he is fun as hell to watch. You need guys like that put on a show on your side. And even, lesser extent, Scott Smith. It's funny because, getting rid of those two guys, they gave Strikeforce a main event. That was their headliner not too long ago. They made that for him. They put that together for him. Robbie Lawler, another one, good guy, should be in the UFC still. May never win. Jack, who cares? He's fun to watch. He's a good fighter. People root for him. There's a fan base there. So it needs to become like a real sport is, where you just don't hold on to only the contenders and up-and-comers. You have everybody. Another thing that hurts them is they can't do tournaments. That's all baseball is towards the end. You look at the record, and you got the best teams going at each other in a tournament, which is for the playoffs. They can't do that. They can't put together rapid-fire fights without the athletic commission coming after them. They can't do, they can't even do guys fighting monthly, and that hurts them as a sport. You really can't do that much, in a year with one guy. That's why we got so many different titles, and you try to represent at least one title at each pay-per-view, but it's hard. And UFC 100s may back them up a little bit, may mess them up, because it'd be harder to get like a championship out for each title. They may have to put more, I'm not gonna say freak show fights on there, but more crazy fights. Maybe more fights that interact different weight classes and stuff. But you need to be able to do some things there to be able to grow and become more watchable. Another thing, the best model we can link them up to, though, is boxing, because boxing is a fighting promotion where it's just about one guy fighting another guy. It isn't about a team. And they do pay-per-view just like UFC does. They do some free shows too. Their biggest problem, what happened to boxing? What messed up boxing? You had too many champions scattered across different promotions, so you never got those dream fights. That's what hurt boxing, and that's what the UFC has to fight to keep on growing and becoming more popular. You got to be able to keep a lot of the guys in the same place, and really what they'll have to do is make that little niche theirs and regulate UFC as like the pros, the major leagues of their sport, and everything else is like amateur. So yeah, if the UFC can do those things, and I think they should expand their roster. I'd like to see the roster a lot bigger, and every fight doesn't need to be about the title to me. I want to watch fights. I don't care if that guy's in contention. I don't care if that guy, he's one fight away from getting a title shot, or this is a #1 contender. I mean, that's great. Those are good fights. I mean, not taking anything away from those, but we should be able to have fights where we just watch guys fight. It's not all about the title. I mean, you kind of lose the prestige for the title there, but you should be able to watch for some fun fights. With guys like Nick Diaz. Like I said, Scott Smith got away from him. There are all kinds of guys. Arlovsky was a good fighter. He's suffered as of late, but I would have never let him get away. I would let him, if he was going to lose, let him lose on, my show, Let that talent, go off to someone else if he captures these wins, and it tarnishes his career, but it elevates someone else. That's my 2 cents in it. They need to expand the roster. If they could do that and just keep, I think, what they have currently is beautiful. They got a great roster, but they need to be able to allow it to get bigger. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question. I think they will. I think they will keep on growing. I don't know at what pinnacle they'll reach, at what peak they'll hit, because it's kind of hard to market it to everybody. A girl, a young girl could go watch a Major League Baseball game. It's G-rated, it's friendly. I don't know so much watch a fight. Same thing, a young boy, can't really take him to a fight, without seeing the blood and the submissions and the trash talk and the ring girls and stuff. I mean, it's just hard to market it to a broader audience like that, like you could baseball or even football and basketball to a lesser extent than baseball. Baseball is pretty G. But I think they can take more of what share they're letting loose. I think there's more out there for them to grab up, more people that can watch the sport and get involved with it. So yeah, I think they can grow past what they are right now. And they do a good job with the free fights. They usually give us some fun free fights. Like we're going to get Melvin Gillard versus Nate Diaz. And that is going to be a fun fight to watch. I'd rather watch that than some of the more boring fights that could be, for contendership. Because that sounds like a war right there. So yeah, they can do it. I think they will. I just hope they keep more guys around, make it easier on themselves, and make sure that they become the standard for MMA, and I'd like to see it under one roof. That's me. I mean, I like not to see it get scattered like boxing got scattered. So yeah, thanks for the question, Ceizari. He's got a great channel. I want you to check it out. He does stuff about MMA, and he did some stuff. He does some stuff about basketball. Really entertaining guy. He seems nice. Knows his facts. So yeah, check him out. All right. I'll talk to you later. Bye.